guys, it's Carol. I saw two news articles today that really touched my heart, and I wanted to share them with you in case you didn't see them. Our world is not as kind as it used to be. You probably noticed that. For as long as I've had an email account, and I got an email account way back when emails first started being a thing, I have had a signature across the bottom that has my name and a quote. The quote is, "Be kind. Everybody's fighting a hard battle." The source I found that first said that was Plato. A lot of people are credited with saying that, but it doesn't matter who first said it. Be kind. Everybody's fighting a hard battle. And that's the truth. Everybody is. I just wish that we could be kind to each other. The first article I saw was about Ellen DeGeneres and George W. Bush. Now, because I'm a Christian, and Christian faiths tend to not accept gay people so much, a lot of my friends don't watch Ellen, don't like Ellen, don't want to have anything to do with Ellen because she is gay. Well, I had an aunt that was gay. She was a wonderful person. She died when I was in my 20s, so she was gay back when nobody even said the word. Her life could not have been easy. It could not have been. But there never was a nicer person in the world. Why anybody would not be kind to her, I don't know. And I feel like I can be a Christian and be friends with somebody who's gay. You know what? I don't want to hear about anybody's sexual life, whether they're straight, gay, whatever. That's you do that. You keep that to yourself. I don't need to know about it. And whatever people do doesn't affect me. I'm not involved. So I like Ellen. I think she's funny. And I like it that her show, the platform that she puts out mostly is be kind to everyone. Greatest message I think anybody could have. Well, anyway, she and her wife were at a Cowboys game, sitting in the, I don't know what it's called, the real expensive booth, the owner's, booth. And sitting next to her was George W. Bush and Laura Bush. Well, when that picture got on the news, Ellen said everybody started tweeting, as they tend to do when they get angry. And there were lots of people, making remarks about what was Ellen doing sitting next to George W. Bush, because they have two such divided political views and lifestyle views and things. And she said her rebuttal to all of those criticisms of why was she sitting next to George W. Bush, like, woo, was that when she says, be kind to everyone, she doesn't mean it just for people that she agrees with. She said she's friends with lots of people that don't share her same beliefs or ideas or political views. That doesn't mean she has to hate them. She can be friends with them. And I think that's a message we have lost. That we can be friends even if we don't agree on anything, because nobody agrees on everything. One of my favorite sayings is, don't criticize somebody else because they sin different than you. Because we all sin in some way. Just because you really don't like how they sin, let that be between them and God. That's my feeling. Let that be between them and God. I've got enough trouble taking care of myself. Okay, that's my story about Ellen and George W. Bush. They were laughing and, having a good time, and she said she's friends with him. Uh, They don't have to believe the same things to be nice and kind to each other and friends. I wish we were all that way. The second article I saw, this was on CBS News, and it took place in Wisconsin. I think about a month or two ago, this gentleman died. His name was what was it? Volstead, I believe. Anyway, you can Google it by putting in surprising funeral request, and that brings up the article. Well, anyway, Mr. Volstead had previously owned the dry cleaners in this little town where he lived, and he didn't have a wife, he didn't have any kids. He had sold the dry cleaners, and he died when he was 69, and that was just very recently. Well, most people in town knew who he was. He owned the dry cleaners, and because he lived modestly, they assumed he didn't have anything. Most people said that he was a loner, or he seemed lonely. Well, he had some stipulations in his will for the executor to carry out. And one of them was he didn't expect anybody to come to his funeral because he had no friends. Nobody that, made an effort to see him, do things with him. Everybody liked him, but you know how it is. Well, one of the requests in his will was that he had saved $500,000. Didn't have anybody he wanted to leave it to. Didn't have wife or kids. And so he asked his attorney to put in his will that $500,000 would be divided equally amongst any individuals who might attend his funeral or come to the funeral home and sign the guest book. Of course, he didn't tell anybody this. Nobody in town knew that. They didn't know he had $500,000. They didn't know that they would get something for attending his funeral. But 270 people went to his funeral or signed the guest book. They still didn't know anything. But they all got a letter from the attorney in the mail saying that they would get approximately $1,800, each of them, for showing kindness by coming to his funeral or visiting the funeral home. I'm going to bawl. In his will, he also left, or told his attorney, some of his New Year's resolutions for this year. The first was to live a life that would be pleasing to God. The second was to find true friends. And the third was to not be lonely. Those were his goals for this year. Well, you know what? I could have written those. I always want to live a life that's pleasing to God, even if I love gay people. God loves them too. He may not like the sin, but he loves the sinner. I'm on YouTube partially because I want to find true friends. I have a gazillion acquaintances. The job I had for 20 years was in a public place. I saw lots of people all day long. We were friendly. We chatted. I know lots of people. But after I retired, there's not one person that I felt was a true friend that I would come be with me during this horrible period of time I went through after my breakdown. I had one friend that we were friends for 50 years. She and I grew up in the same little bitty town in New Mexico, and we met when we were 8. And we were friends until she died when she was 58. I would have called on her, but she was gone by then, and Otherwise, the only true friends I have are family members, and that's okay with me. I have nice family members. There's about 10 of them that I talk to almost every day, or email or text, or I'm in contact with, see them. I have plenty of contact with them, and I like those people, even if they are related to me. But to say that I have a true friend, no. In fact, I've told my kids I don't even want a funeral because nobody would come, and I don't like funerals, so I'm not having one. My daughter said, well, we'll see about that, and I said, I'll come back and haunt you. There will be no funeral for me. I don't want one. I hate funerals. And I don't believe that we die. I believe that our spirit moves on to another place. Our bodies die. I want to be cremated, and I know somebody with a ranch in New Mexico, and they said I could be buried there. So I've already told my oldest son, you're in charge of bringing the shovel. And that'll be that. And then I want you to go to a cabin in the mountains in New Mexico with your siblings and their families and play cards and drink Dr. Pepper and eat Mexican food and have a really good time. That's what I want you to do with any money you would have spent on a funeral. But I digress. I didn't mean to talk about that. But I was talking about this guy. 270 people thought enough of him to go to his funeral, but they weren't actively involved in his life. The news reporter said something about it's really good to be kind to somebody by attending their funeral. It's even better if you're kind to them before they die. Isn't that the truth? I feel like I have a YouTube family. Some of you leave me comments every single time, and we talk back and forth that way. And I appreciate you guys. You are my true friends, as true a friend as I have, and I appreciate you leaving messages for me. But anyway, I just wanted to share those two things having to do with kindness. And if you don't believe the same way I do, I don't care. We can still be friends. We can still be kind. See you later. Be kind. Everybody's fighting a hard battle. Bye.